大家好. Greetings everyone. It's April in Taipei. It's April. I've always said April is the best time to visit Taipei. It's always been the case. It's always been kind of the warmer but not excruciatingly hot period of the year to visit the city. The typhoon season is still far off, and it's not as cold as in February, in early March. So I always used to say, if you want to visit Taipei, do it in April. If you want to visit Taiwan, do it in April. Things may change though. It's also getting gradually getting hotter in April as well. So if you want to visit Taiwan and enjoy the good weather, do it sooner than later. With that, I'm gonna get on the bike. This is also going to be an update to the situational awareness video. I'm gonna post them periodically. So it's April. We are about 1.5 months into the war in the Persian Gulf. The US-Israel operation in Iran, the Middle East, and everything that followed. And there have been some major implications for the Taiwan economy as well. I am here right in front of the Taipei arena, I think. Look at these cheerleaders. Lisa, Candy. Wonder if Lida here is here as well, somewhere, maybe on the other side. So it's a big thing in Taipei, the cheerleader culture. It's kind of like they occupy the space of K-pop models or kind of the Japanese idol culture. It's a bit like that, but with a Taiwanese twist. Yeah. One thing that is kind of glaring to me, but it's almost invisible to almost everybody else, is how nonchalant or even oblivious are the Taiwanese about the whole situation. People are completely unaware, it seems. Everyone's spending like there's no tomorrow, enjoying their lives, maybe traveling a little bit less. Some airfares have increased a lot, but there's a lot of spending going on still. And it's not like emergency spending, stocking up on stuff. It's just normal discretionary spending on little enjoyments in life. On Sundays, Saturdays, it might become difficult to get hold of the bike. So everyone's out enjoying the sun. Going forward, even April might become a bit too hot. So we are in a really interesting world and gonna be in a very difficult world climate-wise. I'm reading that the Atlantic Meridional Oscillating Current, the AMOC, in layman terms, the Gulf Stream, which is part of it, is more likely to collapse, and sooner to collapse than a lot of the scientists have thought previously. So they used to think it may be like 50-50% chance, but now it seems almost inevitable in the next maybe decade or two, if things continue to go the way they're going. That is very likely to cause severely colder winters, lower temperatures in the northern hemisphere, in Western Europe, Northern Europe, possibly in North America as well. So at the same time, the same thing is going to cause much higher temperatures in the southern hemisphere because the heat exchange is disrupted. So there will be more heat accumulation in the south and much colder weathers in the north. What this means for us here in Asia, though, it's very hard to predict. We're already in increasingly hotter temperatures, higher humidities, more extreme weather. It's becoming a bit like a crazy washing machine. I keep describing it as a washing machine. Typhoons start in the Western Pacific, around Philippines, Guam, and kind of escalate around Taiwan, yeah, the Philippines, Hong Kong. Then they slam into Vietnam, southern China, Guangdong province, and then kind of cool off, hitting the mountain ranges in northern Thailand, the kind of lower Himalayas, turn into huge rains, floods, and come back here, flow back into the rivers, floods, and come back here. So that's all going to intensify. I've been seeing that firsthand here in the region for quite a few years now already. So that is not a speculation, that's a fact. What that means is there will be an increasingly narrower and narrower and non-permanent kind of shifting comfort belt, comfortable climate belt with more or less consistent temperatures around the year, where people can have relatively predictable existence, some organized economic life. The fringes of that climate belt will probably be very unpredictable. Conditions will be very unpredictable, so it will be very hard to do anything consistently, like agricultural production, manufacturing, and all that kind of stuff. It will all come down back to the same issue of energy security. If you can generate your energy independently, your region, your jurisdiction, country will fare way better than the others. Of course, there are some optimistic people saying that, yeah, we're all going to convert into renewables and climate will be fixed by itself as we stop burning all these fossil fuels. Temperatures will drop, everything will come back into the normal equilibrium. That would be a miracle thing. I don't really believe in miracles. I believe in generally bad things happening if you don't do anything very active, very intense, something to prevent that from happening. And I don't see that happening. Everything is kind of in the sleepwalking mode in the world. Yeah. I just ran into a colleague. Apparently there is a famous cake shop nearby. Yeah, so he just stepped out of it with a whole bunch of peanut cakes. That's kind of a longer term, more global outlook about what's happening in Taiwan at the moment. As I said, people are generally very oblivious or nonchalant about the potential energy crisis. The government is not making any big statements. I think everyone is just betting on the war kind of being resolved one way or the other, and the reserves and the alternate supplies kind of filling the gap to the point where it will be almost unnoticeable. That's the major bet that the Taiwan government and the big companies are making. They maybe are making some risk mitigation plans, but there's nothing kind of visible on the surface. So to me, it doesn't seem very prudent, at least on the surface of it. The major industries here are starting to be a little bit concerned, I think, about the prospect of the AI bubble. The chatter in the media about potential semiconductor overcapacities overinvestment in certain microchips. He's getting a bit louder. So if that happens, I wonder how the industries here will fare. The Taipei Stock Exchange will definitely experience a slump. It's been having bull runs after bull run. Even the energy crunch didn't affect it as much. Same for Nikkei 221. So basically, for the most part, the Asian stock markets have been somewhat unimpressed, which is, to me, is widely disconnected from the reality on the ground. So I don't know what's going on. It's a bit strange. It's just one of the best things to do on a weekend, just riding the bike back and forth on Nanjing Road. Hey. This is Nanjing Sanmin Station. I think it's penultimate before Songshan Station. I think so. Not too sure. So if everything goes back to normal, Taiwan will have almost not noticed anything. There was a spike in the fuel prices, and that was it. All the grocery and daily necessities prices have so far remained almost the same. I don't see visible changes as yet in the major chains. There may be some delayed effect though. I don't think we can avoid that. I think there will be some delayed effects that are still in the pipeline. They're still coming. Number one will be chemical plastic feedstocks, which Taiwan is highly dependent on due to its plastic industries, Far Eastern, Formosa plastic. Though they can't really do a whole lot without all of the advanced petrochemicals out of the Persian Gulf. There may be some substitutes, but they will be further out and more expensive. So that is one thing, and that will inevitably impact things like packaging materials, household chemicals, maybe some inputs into personal care, health related items, pharmaceuticals for sure. So that will be impacted, and there's almost no doubt about that. It's actually already been impacted in Southeast Asian countries like Thailand. Some factories are closing because of this. I think I've almost reached Nehu on the other side of this thing. I think I should turn back. The other product category that will be inevitably affected is food items, groceries. Not so much because of the food itself, but there will be deferred effect of the diesel price increases. We can avoid that, and also will be deferred maybe later because Taiwan said, the government said they do have some fertilizer stocks, but it's a finite amount, and until they readjust the supply chain, there may be some shortages or relying on some fairly expensive spot market prices. It does seem like this spring planting season is not as badly affected as in other places. So again, thanks to the government kind of reserves, companies' reserves, that crunch didn't disappear. It will just trickle down the pipeline maybe later in the summer. So we might have this summer fall harvesting season not as affected, but we'll definitely have next year's affected. That is for sure. So factor in some diesel price increases. So I think come midsummer, fall, we'll start seeing price hikes in the retail chains. That is an optimistic scenario, of course. This is all assuming that the crisis kind of eventually winds down and everything goes back to normal, but it won't be the same as before. The elephant in the room, of course, is the global debt crisis. That is inevitable. It's coming with or without the war in the Persian Gulf. That snowball, the mountain of debt, hasn't gone anywhere. It's still here. When and how it will blow up first is anybody's guess, but I think it will happen sometime this summer, fall. Most likely in the United States, either coming out of the private debt market, or the housing market, or the job market, or consumer debt market. There's so many hotspots, so can be anybody's guess. So what I'm trying to say is, it is starting to look more and more like 2007, 2008 in many ways. Again, Taiwan may or may not be better equipped than others to withstand the storm. We've seen it being tremendously resilient. It shrugged off the COVID. It shrugged off some of the supply chain hiccups. It rode very well through the AI boom, but the boom is followed by the bust. So, given the exposure of the semiconductor industry, it will be very interesting to see how it performs. As for Southeast Asia, not in a good spot, with the two notable exceptions, Malaysia and Singapore doing way better than the others. Everybody else are in a pretty dire straits, especially the Philippines and even Thailand. So if the financial crisis erupts later this summer, they will be very badly affected. They're already not doing so well. Yeah, it is what it is. So on this note, I'm gonna close this little video, the situational awareness update. I'm just gonna continue to ride further west along Nanjing Rd East and then Nanjing Rd West, probably towards Datong. So that's my humble ambition for today. Probably the first day of the really good weather in Taipei since coming back. Sunny, not too hot, not too cold, a bit windy but not too windy, no rain, even a little bit dry thanks to the wind. Just as a timestamp, so this was filmed and narrated on April 19th, 2026. We'll see what happens in the days following.